Greetings viewer, welcome! So you're interested about installing the Hager 2553 entry lock set. Well, you're in luck. The YouTube search algorithm has worked in your favor. Stay tuned. Here we have the 2 3/4 inch entry lock set that will be installed on the stained grade 1 3/4 inch left-hand wood door. Let's take a look inside the box. This door comes fully prepped for the lock set from the manufacturer, so I won't be needing the drilling template. We got ourselves a bag of insulation screws. I'm using my magnetic bowl here to keep them contained. Make sure you get all the screws out of the plastic bag. A commercial strike plate. Instructions, but you won't be needing that. You got this video. And the latch. Go ahead and remove the protective plastic now. Don't leave it for a cleaning crew. This is a finished door. Plus you will also be preventing the screw heads from pinching the plastic. You first start with the latch. Make sure that the bevel on the latch is facing the closing direction of the door. The bevel will help the latch to deflect when it hits the strike plate on the jamb. The latch is secured with the 2 small Phillips screws. Grouping the screws by their type helps you to know how and where a screw should be used. The lock body comes assembled. We have to disassemble the inside half of the lock in order to install it. You do this by inserting the wire pin pusher into a small hole that's located near where the handle meets the rose plate. Pull up on the handle as you push in on the pin. Keep the lock parts in the box for now. You don't want to scratch the lock finish. The 2 screw posts on the lock body are held in place by a notch. You can slide them out of the notch and rotate the plate if you need to adjust the lock for the proper door thickness. 1 3/4 inch, 1 3/8. You don't usually have to do this, but sometimes they slip out of place. When installing the lock body, you can prevent this from happening by keeping pressure against the rose cover while holding on the handle. Remember that the key side is the side you want to prevent entry from. Carefully insert the lock body. Make sure all the prongs on the lock body retractor are properly engaged. Let's pause it here for a sec and take a closer look at that. If you look at the lock body, you can see 2 outer prongs and the lock body retractor. All that needs to catch the 2 outer prongs on the latch tail piece of the latch. Do a visual confirmation that everything is aligned and sync before going any farther. If the latch doesn't retract properly, usually by sticking in, it's usually because one of the outer prongs are not engaged. Sometimes the mortise on the door is off just enough to prevent the prongs on the latch to engage the prongs on the body. You will have to get in there and position them in place with a nail set or a screwdriver. Okay, let's get back to the video. The rose plate have an arrow on it that should point towards the edge of the door. There are also 2 prongs that need to bite into the face of the door. The door face is usually a little too tough for this to happen naturally. I solve this by pressing a prong into the door to make a little indentation, then use my knife to cut a small V into the door. Secure the plate using 2 of the 4 longer screws into the 2 innermost holes. Check the lock to make sure everything is working so far. You should do this after each procedure. It will help with troubleshooting. Next is the inside rose plate. You will need to remove it from the rose cover. It can be a bit tricky to separate. This also have an arrow indicator on it. Point this towards the edge of the door and secure with the last 2 remaining long screws. The two small black screws are used to secure the inside rose plate if the door was not fully prepped. That is, if the two small upper and lower holes were not drilled out. But this is a much weaker installation. I wouldn't recommend this one. The finished rose cover has two dimples in it that's across from each other. Slide them over the two recesses on the inside rose cover, one at the top and the other at the bottom. When the rose cover is fully against the door, go ahead, make a small clockwise turn to keep it in place. You should hear a light ratchet sound. Attach the handle by pressing towards the door. You should hear a click, then carefully tug on the handle to make sure it's secured. Now that the lock is assembled, make sure it's working correctly by turning the outside lever and the inside lever. Make sure the latch don't stick and that the secure button works. When it comes to the security feature on the lock set, the little slider bar that's located behind and against the latch strike needs to press against the latch strike when the door is closed. This will prevent the latch strike from retracting if a tool is used. If that slider bar is in the same hole with the latch strike, you will be able to retract the latch with a tool when the door is closed. Remember to remove the plastic off the strike plate. Insert the strike plate into the jam mortise. Sometimes this is an overly snug fit and you will have to tap it into place. Secure using the two larger combination wood machine screws. These also take a number 2 Phillips tip to install, not a number 3 tip like most commercial strike plates. Some things to be mindful of when installing this lock set. Remove all the protective plastic before installation. No one else will do it for you, and you will just have plastic trapped behind the screw heads when you have to come back and do it. Remember to place the lock set on something to protect it. Use a small container to keep the screws in for now. This will save you from hunting for screws. Also, don't throw away anything until installation is complete. There might just be a screw left in one of those plastic bags. Check the lock to make sure it's working correctly after each step. It's a quick troubleshooting heads up. It will save you time if something did not work after installation. Work the locks a few times. Sometimes a problem happens after a few turns. I usually flip and turn things about 5 times before walking away. And if you're able to work with the key, even better. Thank you for your time.